Good morning, my happy hour back. Here's the plan. Air conditioning. We've got the Aircon crew back and they are going to start working on installing units upstairs and one unit downstairs. We can't do everywhere yet, the build crew are not quite ready for that, but I think it's a total of 7 units will be installed, and then when we're ready they'll come back and finish the job. What could possibly go wrong? Before we get to the excitement of Aircon, we have got quite a bit more window preparation. We had a chat with the builder this morning, and at the moment he still thinks possibly Friday or Saturday, so tomorrow or the next day, we might get delivery of some windows. So they are continuing to work on skim coating and a little bit of paint in preparation for those windows. Here at the hot tub with our builder, we've had a conversation this morning and said, I don't really think this is a proper hot tub if we don't have water jets. Having a bubbler in the bottom is fine, but to me that means it's a bath with a bubbler. It's not quite the same thing. So talked about that, we'll see how that progresses. It's not a final conversation, so you'll have to bear with us, see what happens. Inside the bathroom in the gym and spa, Mr. Rene and Coelito still doing bits of chipping out. It looks like, I think, the plumbing now has been all redone. So now it'll be a case of putting a floor and some wall tiles back in. In the dining room, still no sign of those last couple of tiles, but Baba Jess putting some LED strip lights into this highlight area. Owen is also in the dining room at the moment, mixing up a little bit more skim coat, which is to be used on the windows in this room, and then maybe beyond. Painter Mr. Willie is working on the ceiling, and that is actually a paint coat, not skim coat. This is the living room. In the double height ceiling area, we've got Oliver and Erwin chipping and grinding again, just preparing that surface, getting rid of little bits of excess ahead of, I think, in that area, it might be a little bit more tiling. Here are some of the boxes. Well, I think it's all of the internal units for the air conditioners up here and that one downstairs. So we've gone with Samsung. It's what they call their wind-free model, which allegedly, even if you're directly in the flow of the internal unit, you shouldn't really feel a direct kind of wind in your face, if you like. That's the feature of this that kind of sold it on us. Well, along with, it was a recommendation from the company that we went with for installation, and the price wasn't outrageous. So we'll get a better look at what's inside these boxes in a little while. It's a little after lunch. Had to go off and try and deal with some stuff to deal with getting parcels into the country. By the way, if you ever have to deal with Philippine customs, don't try and phone them. In our experience, they never pick up, but their email addresses, they're fairly responsive, although so far it seems that every bit of information we've provided, we have to do it 3 times. It's a real pain that they don't seem to follow email chains, at least that's our limited experience, but they are responsive, so it's worth going through the email route rather than the phone call route. Speaking of things not quite going to plan, I managed to have a problem with audio this morning, so there's only a few clips from there. It wasn't my fault, the dog ate the battery, or something like that. So we'll see if we can catch up and do a little bit of what we missed first thing. We'll start here at the front, where Frederick and Elson have completed all the tiles around the door. So they finished off at the top first thing, then put in the bottom ones, and those bottom ones were slightly more tricky because they've got to put a 45-degree angle on the edges where the inside tiles meet those front tiles so that everything fits together nicely. But they've done that, and they're now moving on. The next place for these front tiles will be on this column below the master bedroom balcony. So just getting string lines, measurements, everything sorted out to make sure it all looks hunky-dory. Just here at the stairs inside the living room. Something new coming here very soon. In the living room, Mr. Willie up on the platform, and down here, Owen and Rico, all working on skim coat in here. I was halfway up the stairs, Papa Jess called me back. We now have LED strip lights inside this feature wall. He is a man who is very proud of his work. I have to say, I'm proud of his work as well. Looking very good. Again, these are the really not too bright lights. They're simply a highlight, so we don't want too much light up there. But, and it'll be very interesting to see how this all works out, because my understanding is that's going to effectively be where there are two mirrors. I guess the light behind is what creates the mirror. Up above the stairs, painter Ernie seems to have been up here for days. Of course it hasn't been, but he has been doing a lot of work with skim coat and paint in this area. One little thing that was done this morning, Sing and Rico put in the penultimate panel in the ceiling in the master bathroom. There's one behind us that is still not quite yet in, and I think that's because they haven't finished all of the plumbing connection at that end. We're inside Alex's bedroom, and the head of the aircon crew, Erwin, to add to Erwin and Erwin, is getting ready to install the last but one air conditioning unit upstairs. This is like most of the other bedrooms except the master. This will be a 2 horsepower unit. They're all from Samsung. I think I've mentioned that already, but in case I didn't, it's the Samsung wind-free models. All of the bedrooms except the master, as I say, are 2 horsepower. In the master itself, it's 2.5, and in the walk-in closet in there, there's a small 1.5 unit. And then there's various sizes downstairs. So, they have been, I was watching earlier on, they've been very careful to try and measure these things out, make sure they're level. The guide they're working to is that the top of the unit should be 4 inches, a minimum of 4 inches below the ceiling. There needs to be some airflow up there. So that's what they've been working on, and we'll have a quick look in a couple of the bedrooms just so we can see the units, although they have immediately covered them up. The next step will be to put the outside units in place, but let me show you what has just started. I don't think they're going to want to be up on ladders or scaffolding while it's like this. Hopefully this is short and sweet. The sky is very, very grey. There is a little bit of a lighter sky further away, so we'll see. This might mean, even if they finished all the interior units, it might mean they won't get to the outside ones until tomorrow. This is Sabrina's bedroom. Units there. The bed head will be there. And as I've said, I think already, the claim to fame of the Samsung wind-free units is you won't feel a direct airflow coming out of that air conditioner. That's what they claim. And we'll have to wait and see. Here's the unit in the master bedroom. So this is the largest one upstairs. This is a 2.5 horsepower. And there's a second unit in the suite, which was the first one they started on this morning, just through there. You might be able to make it out through the doorway. That's a smaller 1.5. One of the issues with the Samsung models, at least the wall-mounted ones, of this nature, I think I'm right in saying that the largest one they have is either I think it's a 2.5 or it might be a 3 horsepower. So it hasn't got the oomph that some other units have got, and particularly not floor-standing ones. But as we mentioned way back when we first started talking about this and the first part of the installation was done, we just didn't want floor-standing units. So it's a small price to pay, I think, if we've had to add maybe one extra unit above and beyond what we thought originally we might have to put in. They're not quite as powerful as some others. I think with the amount that we got though, it should not be a problem at all. And to beef the whole system up, all the bedrooms and quite a number of the rooms will have ceiling fans as well. Before I head out, a couple of points. I mentioned a couple of days ago that they redid a part of the floor here on the patio at the back. And that's to make sure that they had enough gradient from back to front. Because rain will come in. We're not in a typhoon. This is just a very, really quite heavy thunderstorm. And you can probably make out that more than half of the patio is now getting really pretty wet. So it was important that they did that. The second point, Larry Langdon, who knows his onions when it comes to swimming pools, and has mentioned this before, said when he watched more recent videos, we still had the water jets, or some of the water jets in the pool, not pointing down, and that was a fundamental mistake. And Larry, you're absolutely right. We had mentioned it to Glenn, the pool guy. We've mentioned it again today and said, please, can you get whatever tool you need to fix those? I tried moving them by hand, and although they're supposed to be fairly easily adjustable, they're not easily adjustable without a small tool. So he is going to take care of it. Larry, thanks again for pointing it out, something that I'd forgotten about. Now, I got to go and walk through the rain. Being English, allegedly, it's what I'm used to. It's 4:30. The regular crew are heading out. The Aircon crew works their own hours and obviously still think they can get a bit more work in today. Still here. And nice to see that they have found a way on the external units of making them blend in. Good plan. Just leave them in the box. Right, before we go inside, quick one from JB. And the only reason I'm saying or telling this one is because JB is Australian, I believe, or at least lives there. How do you confuse an Australian? Lean 2 shovels up against the wall and tell him to take his pick. And with that insult, let's move inside. We'll start here, where they are about to put on the second external unit, the condenser, along this back wall. If you're new here, what we asked for was to try to make these external units as inconspicuous as possible. What we actually would have liked would have had to have had all of them along the north wall, because that's the side of the house that basically people won't see. In the end, it wasn't practical to do all of them there, so we will have 3 on this side of the house, all the rest, 2 banks of 5 across that north wall. So we couldn't hide them completely. We hid them as best we could. But the second one, about to go in. You might be able to make out, they've got the base in place. All the wiring was done on previous trips, or all the connections were prepared at least. So now it should be a relatively simple matter, I would assume, of hooking up to all the connections that were there when they came this morning. And we're going to have a look inside and see, did they get 7 units done? I'm going to guess they may not have done the living room one yet, but I haven't checked. We're going to have a look. This is the living room, and no, they didn't get the one installed here. They did finish, or it appears to me at least, they did finish all of those units upstairs, so that's 5, one for each of the bedrooms, plus that extra one in the walk-in closet. So 6 upstairs at the moment, which leaves them still a total of 7 to do downstairs. But I think my understanding is this is the only one that they will be able to do at this time. All the others, the build crew are not ready for them yet. Here's the something new. What do you think? Looks good, eh? Nice bit of plywood covering up the outside of those stairs. That's it, they're finished. Well, maybe a little bit more to do. Now I'm a little puzzled. No more tiling done at the front here that I can see. Nothing done just on the sides of the front entrance, nothing done on any of the columns. I don't know what happened. I'll find out tomorrow morning. That's all I got to show you. There was, of course, more skim coat, more paint, more electrical, more plumbing, but nothing that is particularly easy to spot as something new. So we'll call it a day there, with the exception of, if I don't say something now, I'm pretty sure there'll be comments from people who maybe haven't followed right from the beginning about air conditioning. Just one quick thought, and by all means, throw any questions you like at us and we'll see if we can answer them. But when we started this process, there were a lot of comments about why didn't we go for central air conditioning. We've ended up here with 13 individual units. And the simple answer is, we asked, and anybody that we asked quoted us double or more the price. Couldn't afford it, that's the answer. So I don't know why it is that it is so much more expensive here, at least for the quotes that we got. But that was the reality when we spoke to a number of different suppliers about that. So it is individual air conditioners around the house. And with that, tomorrow, I'm sure these guys will be back. They've not quite finished what they can do on this leg of the installation. And then we'll see what else is going on. I'll try and find out, why was there no more tiling at the front of the house? Or was there and I've somehow missed it? Don't think so. But come back and we'll find answers to these puzzles and more. See you tomorrow.